October 2, 1990, Guangzhou Baiyun Airport was the scene of a hijacking that killed 128 people. Due to the crazy behavior of the hijackers, caused 3 Boeing planes parked at the airport, Boeing aircraft in a series of collision and then exploded, resulting in a tragic loss of life. This is the only tragic case in the world, so what kind of people are willing to pay the price, to take the risk of hijacking a civilian airliner? After the robbers hijacked the plane, what exactly happened? What happened after the hijacking that led to such a tragic air disaster? October 2, 1990, 6:15 am, Xiamen Airport. A Xiamen Airlines Flight 8301 was waiting for passengers to board 2 minutes before departure. A man in a gray suit carrying a suitcase, the last one to board the plane, he was seated in row 16, seat C. The direct flight is a Boeing 737, the direct flight route is Xiamen to Guangzhou. There were 93 passengers and 9 crew members on board. 6:57 The aircraft taxied to the runway and received permission from the tower to take off. The plane began to accelerate on the runway, the plane roared towards Guangzhou. Passengers in the cabin were relaxed. The weather was good that day. Looking out from the porthole window of the plane, the view of the Xiamen coast was breathtaking. The mountains were full of unpredictable clouds and fog. Everything looked so beautiful, but who knew, waiting for them is a nightmare journey. Here we have to talk about this last one. Enthroned traveler, his name is Jiang Xiaofeng, is the County Material Bureau Development Company in Changsha procurement station purchaser. He took advantage of his job some time ago, falsely claiming to purchase goods to flee with 17,000 yuan of public money. After that, the local procuratorate immediately filed a case against him and hunted him down. Jiang Xiaofeng fled to Fujian for fear of being arrested. He began to feel fearful, he didn't know how to escape, and just at this time, the hijacking of a plane by a long man that shocked the whole country happened. He had a bright idea. Maybe he could do what his predecessors did. He was able to escape. So he found an acquaintance, with his connections, to get a letter of introduction to buy a ticket and successfully purchased a ticket. In fact, when Jiang Xiaofeng was going through the security check, he was still very nervous, afraid that the security personnel found something unusual. After all, he had a ghost in his heart. Luckily, he was carrying a code box in one hand held a bouquet of plastic roses. Although this attracted the attention of the security personnel but also did not find anything unusual. After all, at that time, those who could fly were not ordinary people. The rich and the famous, suit and leather, Jiang Xiaofeng with a password case in his hand, how to look like a rich businessman, and so Jiang Xiaofeng successfully avoided the security check. He boarded the plane. After half an hour of flight, the plane had arrived over Huizhou City. Halfway through the journey, Jiang Xiaofeng realized that, if he didn't make a move, he wouldn't have a chance, so he plucked up his courage and prepared to start his plan. Jiang Xiaofeng quickly left his seat. He hurriedly walked towards the direction of the cockpit. Jiang Xiaofeng went to the door of the cockpit. He punched and kicked the door. The door was soon opened by him. Some may ask here, this door does not have a lock. Of course there was a lock, but at that time not only in China, but also in the cockpits of airplanes all over the world, are not locked doors. Usually they were just closed in general. Start locking the doors. It was only after September 11th that people took it seriously. Not only lock the door but also do not allow the flight crew to enter. When Jiang Xiaofeng entered, the pilot, he held a black plastic box above his head and shouted, "The plane was diverted to Taipei. I have 7 kilograms of explosives on me. If you don't listen, we'll all die together. We will die together. No one will want to live." The crew heard this also fierce. How can we meet a hijacker? At this time, Jiang Xiaofeng is close to madness. He knew that if he did not escape quickly, he would be severely punished by the law. So he threw the rest of the crew, except the captain, all out of the cockpit. Raising the explosive bag in his hand, he threatened the captain to take the plane to Taiwan. The captain, for the sake of the safety of the people on the plane, he started to negotiate with Jiang Xiaofeng. The captain said that as long as Jiang Xiaofeng did not take drastic action, he would cooperate with Jiang Xiaofeng. Hearing this, Jiang Xiaofeng was very satisfied. He also found a seat next to him and sat down. But what Jiang Xiaofeng didn't know was, the captain had already turned on the emergency alarm system on the plane. The conversation in the cockpit had been transmitted to the ground command center. The captain heard Jiang Xiaofeng speak, seemed not to be a native of Guangzhou, so on the surface he agreed to fly to Taipei, but in fact, he started circling in the airspace over Guangzhou. At this time, the plane was already 30 minutes late. The reason why it didn't land is to give Jiang Xiaofeng create the illusion that the plane was flying to Taipei. After Jiang Xiaofeng saw some landmarks in Guangzhou, began to feel anxious. He immediately asked the captain why the plane was still in Guangzhou. The captain saw that his plan had been discovered. He lied that the plane was running out of fuel, he had to land to refuel. In fact, the captain did not fool Jiang Xiaofeng. If the airliner flew to Taiwan, there was indeed not enough fuel because this plane was circling in the air. It took a long time to hover. The fuel was almost used up. At this moment, Jiang Xiaofeng knew very well if the plane landed in Guangzhou, then there was absolutely no possibility for it to escape again, so he told the captain not to land in Guangzhou, otherwise a plane of people will be buried with me. But now the plane had frequent fuel alarms. If we don't land soon, the lives of the people on the plane would be in danger, so the captain made an immediate decision. He forced the plane to fly to Guangzhou Airport. Jiang Xiaofeng saw that the plane was going to land by force. Anxious branch only he knows. The explosives he was holding were actually fake, probably a premonition of his. The end is coming for Jiang Xiaofeng. First hurled vicious insults at the captain of the plane, then he started frantically grabbing the joystick, trying to pull up the plane to take off again. Since he did not know how to fly the plane, he could only desperately press all the buttons of the cockpit. This action directly caused the plane to leave the runway. The captain tried to get the plane back up in order to avoid hitting the grounded plane, but it was too late. Flight 8301, which was taxiing rapidly, the tail of the plane first scraped into a airport power truck that was working and knocked it over, and then a series of disasters began. Flight 8301 continued to taxi and then crashed into Southwest Airlines Flight B707. After the two flights collided violently, Flight 8301 did not stop. Instead, it continued to glide forward. Eventually, Flight 8301, after hitting the other two flights hard, Flight 8301 went east-west for another 300 meters and then stalled and crashed. The accident killed 128 passengers according to subsequent statistics. The hijacked plane. 75 passengers and 7 crew members were killed, only 20 people survived, and the other two flights that were hit, 46 people were killed in the violent impact.